So what is that we're going to see is objects in JavaScript. The first question is, what is an object? An object is nothing but you can say that it's a name value pair, or else you can say it's a key value pair. You might have come across objects in other programming languages, like in Python you have dictionaries, in Java you had hash maps. So JavaScript you have an object. So let me create an object. Let's call this object with the name student, and it's a bunch of name value pairs. So you can have first name. You can I'll put my name Satish and some key. So you call this name or key, address, value, something like that, and phone number. So you can give the key and then the value, some value you can give. So this becomes an object. And what is the type for this object? You can very well check the type. How will you check? We'll log the type, use type of operator, and check the type for student. What is the type for this object? It is an object. So we have declared an object. What is an object? It's a name value pair, and you give that a name. So student is the object name, and it has got a bunch of name value pairs. Now, how to access? Say, if I want to access and print the first name of the student, so you can access that by giving the object name student, and within parenthesis and within double quotes, you have to give the key. So the quotes is important here. If you miss the quotes, you're going to get an error. So if you save and log this out, you'll see Satish is getting printed. So that's how you can access any specific value for a given key. Okay. Even before going into other ways of accessing it using loops, let's take a look at the various ways to declare an object. So this is one way of declaring an object. Another way is you just give the parenthesis, empty parenthesis like this. You can also declare it like this, and you can add the members, say student dot, the key is registration number, something like that. We can give that to be 12 BCE. Now you can use the dot operator here. Student dot registration number is equal to 12 BCE, so that this specific name value pair gets added to your student object. Likewise, you can have student dot name, first name, I'll say Satish. Likewise, student dot address. So you can have some name value pairs. You can add it to your object. So this is also fine. You can very well log your object to the console. Let's check whether we are creating this. Okay. So this is another way of declaring an object. It's also acceptable. We'll see one more way of declaring an object, that is using the new keyword. So you're going to say constant student is equal to new object. So it's not constant student is equal to new student, it is new object. And now you can add the name value pairs like this, student dot, the same way, use the dot operator, you can add everything as you see here, student dot first name, you can always put my name, and student dot address, so that the entire thing is the same. Only thing is you created the object by calling new object. Now let's log this to the console. Let's check what is there inside the student object. So you see we have created this object. So I given address to be address. Maybe let's give it as Vellore. Log it up. So now it's fine. So now you have understood three different ways of creating an object in JavaScript. And how will you access any specific value for a key? You can give that in parentheses, in square brackets, within quotes, you have to give the key. So let's also take a look at accessing other see, we'll take a look at other ways for accessing the values. Say if I want to access the registration number, I can just log student dot reg number. So this is also fine. So in the output, you're going to get only the registration number, the value for registration number getting printed. What is the other way we have seen? We can very well give student in square brackets, within quotes you have to give reg number. So now when you log it, you will see. So these are the various ways wherein you can access the value for a given property. What is the another way? Say, can I use a loop to print all the key value pairs? Yes, I can very well use a loop. So you can go in for a foreign loop here for let x in student and console log student in within square brackets you give an x. So what x takes here is registration number, first name, address. It scans, takes every key, moves to x, and then student of x. When you give the variable name, it's going to print the value corresponding to it. First, it will print 12BC. Next, it will print Satish. Next, it will print Vellore. Now, when you take a look at this, you'll be able to see the output. So you can use a loop to scan through the entire list of key value pairs and print the values, corresponding values for a key. Okay. Now let's take a look at adding more members or deleting key value pairs from the object. So how you can add, say this is an existing object, right? How I can add, I can always use the dot operator. Student dot phone. I can give some phone numbers here. So this is going to add phone number to the object. So for an existing object, you can add properties by just using the dot operator. And if I console log this, you can very well see to the side the output. So phone number got added. Suppose I want to delete a specific key value pair from this object. How will I delete it? I use this keyword delete. So I'll use this keyword delete, and then I'll call that specific key which I want to delete. Say if I want to delete phone number, I'll say student.phone. So delete will delete both the name and the value, the key and the value. So if you log this out, what is that you're going to get? So now you don't have phone number in the object. So that's how you can modify an existing object using dot operators and the delete keyword. Now let me go to the next concept under objects. It's called the concept of nested object. So let's delete all these things. So we'll just focus on nested objects and array of nested objects now. How do you create a nested object? It's a constant. We'll create a nested object here, student. We can have some key value pairs. Let me give my name Satish, and phone number we can say it is some number we'll have. Now we'll have this nested object. We'll call that nested object to be address, and this is a nested object. So you open two curly parentheses. Inside this you give, what is it you're going to give? Some key value pair. So permanent address, Vellore, and temporary address. You can say it's US, something like that. So you have this entire object nested within this object. So it becomes a nested object. And now next what we are going to see is how to access the elements within a nested object. So how to access, say Vellore I want to print. How to access that? We can access it using the dot operator, that is student dot address dot the key. Now when you log this out, you'll get Vellore. So you can always use the dot operator. If I want to print US, What is that? Student dot address dot temporary. So that will actually print the value US. So you can access the keys and values within a nested object by following the dot notation. There is one more way to actually access this, that is, you can also give the square brackets like this. Two square brackets you can give. First one is the name of the nested object, that is address, and whatever key you want to access permanent. So this way is also fine. So this is going to print what? Value to the user. So you can use square parenthesis, but one thing you have to keep in mind, you should always include quotation when you're accessing the key, or else it's going to give you a reference error. You can also have a combination of dot and square parenthesis. For instance, I can say student dot address and execute it, so that you're going to get value. So student dot address and in square parenthesis permanent. So that's how you access the keys from within the nested object. We'll take a look at how to use a for loop and access all the values, all the keys within a nested object. So instead of a dot operator at this, directly accessing this, let me use a for loop. For this, let me create a for loop. Let x in student dot degrees. See, student dot address. So you are just going to iterate through the address object. So you have to say for let x in student dot address console log student dot address of x. So what is that x is going to take here is, first x will be taking permanent. So student dot address of permanent will be Vellore. Next x will be taking temporary. So student dot address of x will be US. Let me clear this and run this one up. So you see Vellore and US. So no matter how many number of key value pairs you're going to have here, you can iterate through them using this for loop. For let x in student dot address. Why is that I'm giving address here? Because I'm going to iterate through the keys within address. So when I say student dot address, x will be taking all the keys, permanent, temporary. For each iteration, one of the keys will be moved to x. And student dot address of permanent will be Vellore. Student dot address of temporary will be US. So you can very well access the keys within a nested object using a for loop. Are you able to follow this simple concept? So nested object we have seen. The next thing that we are going to see is array of nested objects. So we'll see what is an array of nested objects. For this, I'll create a separate object called faculty. So this is going to be an array of nested objects. So you're going to have, let's have some attributes here. First name, I'll give my name Satish, and maybe phone number will have the same kind of attributes. Now, so this is the array of nested objects, degrees. We can say degrees. A faculty should have many degrees. So I'll create, it's an array. So you put two square parentheses. Inside this array, you're going to have many objects. So objects will come in curly parentheses. Say I'll have three objects. So you separate the objects using a comma. The last object, you're not going to give a comma, right? So here, first object, for every degree, we'll have a degree name. Say he's going to have BTech or some degree. And we'll also have university from where he got this degree. Say first degree got it from Anna University, we'll say. Likewise, we have a degree name. So he's going to get MTech from some university. So we'll say university. Let's say it's from Madras University, he got his MTech. And finally, there's one more degree, PhD. And university, say he gets it from IIT or somewhere. Okay. So you have created an array of objects here. So this is an array containing three objects, and this entire object is nested within another object. So it's an array of nested objects. Now the challenge comes how to display the very first object. inside this faculty. So maybe BTech and University Anna you have to print. How can you print that? Let's try console log faculty dot degrees. The first object, the index is 0. Faculty dot degrees of 0. Let me run this. So you see D name, BTech and University Anna. So this is object index 0. In an array, the first element comes in 0 index, right? That's the meaning here. So you can print an entire object that occurs in 0. If you want to print only the degree name for object 0, you can go with a dot here, dot d name. So now what will be the output? It will be BTech. BTech. You're going to the first object in this array and then you're accessing this key dot d name. So BTech is printed. If you're going to print the university, you're going to the first object and then printing university. So degrees of 0, it will vary from 0, 1 and 2, right, inside the array. So like that you can access. If I want to print mtech alone, how will I print using the dot notation? It's very simple. You go to faculty dot degrees. So it is in position 1 dot dname. That's it. So you're going to have mtech. Now you are clear with accessing independent or individual keys within an array of nested objects. You can very well perform like this. If you just want to throw the entire list of objects like that, entire array you want to throw to the console, you can just give faculty dot degrees. When you just perform console.log faculty dot degrees, all the 3 objects you can see in the console. There's one more thing that we can check how to print this entire thing using a for loop. Say I want to print everything. Say I want to print only the degree names using a for loop from within this array. So you can maybe what is the assignment? Print the degree names alone from faculty dot degrees using a for loop. That's the assignment. How can you perform that? Is you can use a for loop, right? For let x in faculty. So which nested object we are really worried about? We are worried about degrees, right? Faculty dot degrees. From here we are going to print. So we can console log faculty dot degrees of x dot dname. So x will vary from 0, 1 and 2 and dname will be printing the degree name corresponding to that specific object. So let's run this. Let's take a look at the output. So BTech, MTech, PhD. Using a for loop for let x in faculty dot degree. So we are worried about this, right? Console.log faculty dot degrees. So we have already seen degrees of 0 dot dname, degrees of 1 dot dname. So what is the variation to x here is it's varying with the array index 0, 1 and 2. So that's how you can get. If you want to print the university names too, how will you access that? Degrees of x dot university. So this one, BTech Anna University. So it's like BTech from Anna University, MTech from Madras University, PhD from IIT. Are you clear with accessing individual elements from within an array of objects here? It's an array of nested objects. So the question can be like print the degree name that this faculty has received from Madras University. You have to just print the degree name that this faculty has received from Madras University. How will you print it? So you know how to access the university within a for loop, right? So you can access the university like this within a for loop, faculty dot degrees dot x dot university. And you want to check whether it is Madras University. So faculty dot degrees dot x dot university equals. So you can have Madras here. Close the if condition, and then if it is equals Madras University, we can console log faculty dot degrees of x, the same object dot degree name. That's it. Let's run this. So what should be the output? Madras, he got MTech degree. So it will be like, let me clear this. Let me run this. So MTech. So for a given university, you are able to print the degree name. You can also make some changes. Say, for instance, print the number of degrees that this faculty received from Madras University. Now I have 2 degrees that he has received, MTech and PhD from Madras University. How will you actually get that? Count. So you are going to check if faculty university is Madras. Maybe you'll have some count here, like let count. It's a equals 0, something like that. And every time you get something as Madras, you can count plus plus. You can do. And we can also have a boolean flag to see that, okay, let the flag first, it's like false. So when you find something like he has a degree from Madras University, you can say flag to be true. You can set the flag, and we are setting this right. Now we can have a check if flag. If the flag is set to true, we'll console log count. Else the flag is always false. It means that he is not having any degree from Madras University. We'll console log no degrees from that university. You should also add the negative conditions here, checks, which we normally don't do as students, even as faculty. Only in the industry they do such things. But these are basic checks you should have. Okay, so what is it we are doing here? If the university is Madras, we are increasing the count. We are setting the flag to be true. If the flag is true, then we are printing the count. If the flag is false, then he has no degrees from that university. So what should be the output here? He has 2 degrees from Madras University, so the output should be 2. If he's not going to have any degree, say I just remove M from Madras. So now what will be the output? It should be like Control S and Shift Alt 10. No degrees from that university. If you're going to print the faculty name, see we are printing everything from within this nested objects. If you have to print the faculty first name, how will you print it? Even before the for loop, you will console log faculty dot first name, right? If you want to print the first name and the number of degrees he has received, then I will console log faculty dot first name. For the degree nested objects alone, I will run this for loop, and then I will run this Satish and 2. So are you all comfortable with array of nested objects? There's one more concept with respect to objects. That is, say, let's remove this nested objects. There's one more thing called you can have a function to be a parameter. Say I'll call this key to be test. I can have a function here that's actually a value. That is possible. So you give function and then maybe I'll console log it's working. So now let me delete everything else for easier understanding. So you call this to be an object method. So what is it? The next thing we are taking a look at is the final thing in objects, object method. So here we have this key wherein the value is a function. That is possible. And how you invoke this function is you say faculty dot test. That's it. Let's console log this. Let's check whether it is working. See, it's working. So you can very well invoke a function like this. And this function is actually a property inside an object. They call these kind of methods to be object methods because it's in an object. There's one more way to add a function to an existing object. Say there is no such parameter. We have already seen how to modify and delete existing objects. Say if I want to add a function, I can always give faculty dot test equals to function. So function is the keyword. Open close parenthesis, and I can console log. This is the body of the function. It's working. So you can add a function like this And how will you invoke this? We can call faculty.test. So again the output will be it's working. So you can very well add a function as a value for a key inside an object. You call that to be object methods. So there is that possibility too. Are you all clear with the objects?